You know what propagated abuse is? People not coming forward and not speaking out, allowing me to be victimized and casting me to the wolves. That's what my supposed friends and helpers and supporters did. Like Shannon Alvarado being involved in that situation with exposing Kara Johnson Miles, but never making an effort to make a police report. Like Kayla Trujillo casting me out into the cold, not coming forward about any of the efforts that I had made previously, and casting me out into the cold, knowing that I didn't have a place to go. Obviously, the police were going to do this. It's obvious to anybody with half a fucking brain that police do this as a matter of national bullshit. This is night that police do this to the homeless. Now, there's a difference between someone knowing the life and someone living it. Miss Peaches had never been homeless. She had claimed that she was, but really she wasn't. With Candace Bondurant, she could have told the truth. She could have made some effort to turn in the harassment and bullshit that was going on at her place. Instead, she wanted to treat me like I was a villain because I was pissed. She cast me out into the cold. Her excuses, were they true or no? I mean, after an entire year of fucking abuse and getting no help, getting assaulted by people who are supposedly my friends, like Derek Parrish, friends who were so issue. Oh my god, more connection unstable bullshit. Now, there was ample opportunity for people to help me, but they didn't. Before Natalie was killed, like lots of people I had gone to for help, and they wanted to text me and type at me pretty fucking words. Or yell at me, like that fucking goddamn fake fucking Christian across the hall. His name is Jason. Telling me to let it go does not stop the abuse. With the courts right now is abuse. It is abuse of power. But then again, with Marcia Estrada playing stupid and Penny Cooper playing stupid, and my autism advocate trying to pass it on to these people, my autism advocate has a lot of information. A lot of the stuff that I need to get out, she has access to, and I don't. What propagated this wasn't me speaking out, it was the fact that nobody else did. They allowed these people to harm me. They allowed it. They let it happen. They let these people destroy evidence. Now, obviously, this was all decided by the news fucking rat. All right, we're back, apparently. Candace Bondurant wanted to hide like a fucking rat. Now, I tried to keep these people's information safe. Spurs Girl typed, "You have been through so much. This is so unfair, draining, and damaging your mental state of mind. Should have been stopped from day one, not 5 years later. 5 years later, it's still not being stopped. 5 years later, I'm still listening to fake ass Christians pretending like if I pretend it doesn't exist, that these people are magically going to stop. Like I will magically be able to get my resources back and not be victimized. You know, Christians, I try to think of nice things to say. I do. When people say they're going to pray for me, that is my first sign that they're not going to do jack shit. I'll pray for you. Spurs girl type, I know that what I meant. Sorry, yes, still going on. That's something that people don't want to pay attention to. A lot of people say, I'm sorry about what happened to you. It's still happening. That's whenever I read that, it's not that people meant to be insulting to me. It's that I do need to mention that it is still happening. The legal shit that I'm going through is still happening. Now, when you're upset with somebody, you do need to at least try to let them know. Let them know why. I'm not the one who cast me out into the cold. That was Candace Bondurant. That was Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett. That was Kayla Trujillo. Now, for me, being stuck in Ken and Leah's place, that was a subservient position. As soon as I moved out of the low income in Chapel and was full time living at Ken and Leah's, I didn't have a place to go, and they knew it. They knew that they could take advantage of me, and there wasn't a goddamn thing I could do. So I was trying to get a lawyer through Jeff Ritter at the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless. I needed to get help stopping the abuse. I am an at-risk adult. I am a disabled adult. It is illegal for these people to do these things to me, yet they did them anyway and got away with it. They used Natalie's death to get away with it. By the way, Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett, these are the people whose truck I lit on fire. Now, although I didn't literally light their truck on fire, I lit the road next to it on fire, and that's good enough. But that's not something I should have had to do. Now I'm going to type in something here. The word J. This is Leah Plunkett's ex. In this video, people who are dead. Spurs girl type, disgusting behavior from all the services I've seen you have contact with. You have been pushed from pillar to post and got nowhere. It's not on. See, that's the thing, Spurs girl. I need people to speak up. I need people who are not going to hide their names. Now, obviously, I have a gamer tag, and Sean David is not my full name. My real name is Sean David Schwartz. My last name is Schwartz, but that's not my gamer name. And a lot of people, when they make accounts on here, they don't use their real names. They use somebody else's, or they use a gamer tag. Spurs Girl is obviously not Spurs Girl's real name, and that's not saying that Spurs Girl is a bad person. And that's also not saying that she can't speak up about what she's seen. Spurs Girl, you can write a police report about what you've seen. That's the thing about these Natalie Bollinger groups. I shouldn't have had to show evidence in Natalie Bollinger groups. Natalie shouldn't have been killed to begin with. Now, there's a lot of places that I've spoken out about that I was actually in. The problem is I have nobody actually in my corner. There's always some issue with family or some issue with health. There's one lady, she goes on here, it's Queen something or other, is Queen Mama Bear maybe. But she sent me a friend request on Facebook, and she goes by Barbara something or other pet sitter. And Barbara Murray, Frankfurt's pet sitter. So, of course, she can't do nothing. She can't do nothing. Recently, she had a friend of hers' father died, so she's doing the funeral arrangements. And I sent her my phone number. And this is, of course, in the video where I was afraid that I had given out my number because I was having people call me. I was afraid either A, that, all right, I put a black piece of electrical tape over my phone number. My phone number is on the back of my phone so I can remember it. I've done this for years. I have to. Spurs Girl types, I'm in the UK. Wish I was in America. I would love to help. I will write a report. Who do I email it to? My first name is Pam. I've followed you for a long time on here and watched all your videos. See, that's something that I did notice. People from Great Britain, from the UK, from, all right, some of the Irish fellers were pretty much assholes, but most of them from the UK, I mean, they pay more attention to America than Americans. They pay more attention to what's going on in America than Americans. You know, I can't tell you who our Secretary of State is. Pam probably knows. Um, well, Pam, you can try to send it to the FBI. You can try to send this information to the media. If you've watched all my videos, you know where a lot of the evidence is, so that should be a big help. I don't have the computer skills to send that evidence in, and most of these places, they don't let you send in the evidence. You type up the report, and then they decide whether or not they're going to investigate it, and usually they don't. But the more people do that, the more likely it is to succeed. My friends, most of them have been through the system as poor people, and they know that the system does not work. What they did not realize is that their voice does matter. Their voice alone means jack shit, and that's where all of these people fucked up. Is that they thought their voice didn't matter. Well, your voice does matter, but only if you use it. A closed mouth don't get fed. And obviously this isn't directed at you, Miss Spurs Girl. These things have happened for a lot of years to a lot of people. Here in the United States, we tend to need a class of victims for when our lives don't go well. Murder of homeless people is up 60%. A 60% rise last year over the year before. It's horrible. It's divide and conquer. We are divided. The internet divides that. Our media, our social media, all creates a divide that we had previously gotten pretty well almost closed. I mean, in the 80s, I grew up with minorities in all my classes, in all of my schools, until I moved to Chapel, Nebraska. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's a bunch of white people who blame everything on blacks and Mexicans. How can it be blacks and Mexicans' fault when there's no blacks or Mexicans in Chapel, Nebraska? There's certainly none in the school. So growing up in the 80s, it was different. It wasn't like it was in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s where, we're trying to integrate. No, I mean, we full on, you grow up, the black kids are the same as the Mexican kids. They're the same as the Puerto Rican kids. They're the same as, we're all just kids, and we were raised with other kids. They were just kids. It wasn't, hey, we're going to go over and hang out with them black kids. No, He was just a kid sitting next to you in class. If he was cool, he was cool. If he wasn't, he wasn't. Same thing up through the 90s. You're in school with minorities. They're people too. You're not raised that they're minorities. You're raised that they're people. Something happened in the 90s. Um, Spurs Girl wrote, I have to take my kitten to vets. I will check back in when I get back, but I'm more than happy to ride on your behalf. Well, thank you, Spurs Girl. I have court, and I will more than likely be arrested here in western Nebraska. Court's pretty well decided before you ever have it. So, good luck to me while you're at the vet. I hope your kitten is well. Well, not if you're taking her to the vet. I hope she ends up well. Um, and thank you for writing. I would like something to be written to the Nebraska State Patrol and the FBI and Nebraska Attorney General's office if you can. I can't do this alone. A lot of people are angry that I spoke out about the things that they should have said. And a lot of that, with my evidence, the evidence that was stolen. Oh, Spurs Girl typed in, with your permission, I would use some of evidence videos. Absolutely, Spurs Girl. And if at all possible, share it with the media. Try to push it with the media. If you can get your friends to help, that would be very much appreciated. Fact is, they're going to try to railroad me, and they'll probably do everything they can to ignore all of my evidence and just leave it here until the hotel staff throw it away. That seems to be a pretty common thing. I was lucky last time I was able to get Dallas to go get my evidence. It was also helpful that his vehicle was there and he needed it. There's evidence on here that in all of the situations that I was in after Natalie's death, where there was abuse happening and I tried to turn in the abuse, especially if the abuser was a female, the cops did everything that they could to harm me. My mental state is deteriorated for a reason. Spurs Girl typed, my kitten was spayed, so just to check up. There is another man on here trying to out Scott DeCoster. Sorry, don't know how to spell his name. There's another man on here trying to out Scott DeCosta. Very nice. Scott DeCosta is trying to he's trying to flee the state of Nebraska before charges were brought against him. I'm going to look his name up on YouTube. Spurs Girl says there's another man trying to do that. It's almost like the media waits for me to post something and then they make their own version of it. Well, we're the first news agency to speak about it. That's right, I'm not a news agency. If you can find his channel or find his name, that would be much appreciated. There's another guy on my channel. His name is Carl Snell, and he was speaking out about Scott DeCosta as well. So I can, of course, pull that out. Carl. Hmm. I suppose doing this on a live video is not the best way to do it. I've got calls with Marcia Estrada. I've got calls with Snell's Predator Services. I guess I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. That means scrolling back through this stuff. A lot of people, they didn't use their real names, so they're difficult to get a hold of. People wanted to speak out from behind fake names, and then it's difficult to get a hold of them to speak up in court. Bobby Forrest, by the way, is still missing, so far as I know. Hmm. All right, I found the area that they'd be in because I made that call while I was at Ventus's house. That would have been streamed 1 year ago. Um, let's see. Here's a short one with my Aunt Mary that shows a bunch of restricted calls in.
Christ, I wish they'd stop.
I wasn't able to actually talk to my Aunt Mary because there were so many of them. So I'll post that one up. Laura Murin is getting hidden. Hide user on this channel. Pretty easy to do. Let's see. Spurs girl type. When I saw the man video straight away, the name Scott DaCosta, I was like, wow, Sean has problems with him. I will do it when I get back. I'll send link. I really wish you good luck for today. I've got to go now, but I will get the man's channel name for you. The more people speak out, the better. Exactly. Exactly. If people do nothing, nothing happens. Many hands make for light work. Let's see. Here's the thing with PayPal. See, the thing is with Stephanie Mejia, she had good intentions to start. But here's another Department of Health and Human Services call. I'm going to post that one up here because it's pretty well necessary. Autism lady without her personal info. That's the problem with most of the stuff with her, is that it had personal information in it. And although it's not illegal to post it up, it's it's not easy. That's for certain. Obviously, I gave out my phone number earlier, and I was fairly certain that it was my fault. Now, I wasn't sure if the tape was on the back and somebody read it, because I was pretty sure that I had taken the tape off, and on one of my videos it was visible. But I looked at the video, and it's you can't read it. And I was also afraid that I might have given out the number because a lot of those calls that I posted up, they had my number in them, and I was pretty sure that I paused it when I gave people my phone numbers, but in that last one, he kind of sprung it on me, and when I was able to learn how to trim, so I trimmed off the last minute or so of the video, but then I apparently posted up the one that was not trimmed. Um, let's see. There's a few of them with Scott DaCosta, and obviously I'm screaming in the videos where I'm trying to turn in Scott DaCosta, and God, it was a pain in the ass. Let's see.
I'm not very good at listening to other stuff and talking at the same time, but I'll do my best because I got to call this number back.
That's not working. Let's see. Did they take down the one with Carl Snell? There is no way because it doesn't have his personal information on it. So it's in here somewhere. Here's one called Another Troll Harassing Me. And there's, of course, updates in here of people that were found. That always makes me feel good. Hmm. I am cold. All right, it might be on my. God, it'll take a while to scroll through my Facebook on this. I told the truth, and that's the important thing, is that I told the truth, and I'm being victimized for telling the truth. People want me to shut up about telling the truth, but that hasn't stopped me yet, has it? Well, thank goodness Dan has reconnected with me. Maybe this is the one. It's called More Proof That I Tell the Truth. So I guess we'll make sure that it's at the forefront here. Putting it here. That one is with Marcia Estrada. And she speaks about how Scott DaCosta is on the radar. And she speaks of another one of Scott DaCosta's victims, who's a female. Also, there's Carl Snell, and he's another one. So, I mean, there are people who are speaking out. Rory Jepson was speaking out too, but he died. Hmm. inmates in this group. In this group, there's I should probably play this one.
Schwartz. S.
All right, sir. How can I help you?
Well, ma'am, there's a woman who was killed in Denver. Her name is Natalie Bollinger. I have been harassed, threatened, and assaulted for quite a while by not only the general public, but also by police officers statewide. They intimidated many of my friends, and all the people who are willing to come forward about it are too scared to come forward. There's a lot of officers that have been involved, a lot of people who have been involved in suppressing evidence. And I've been on the phone with you guys before. Now that the Joseph Michael Lopez trial, you guys are already involved in it with his telephone, or with Natalie's telephone. I need to get a hold of somebody who can actually help me with this and actually take a report from me. I've been trying for 6 months.
Okay, sir. And when was the last time you contacted us?
I think I last tried to contact you about 30 minutes before this one, although you guys had me on hold for 40 minutes. No, an hour and 16 minutes, I'm sorry. And the time before that was about a month and a half ago.
Okay. And did you speak with anyone either of the time?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, on 4 different occasions, I spoke to people.
And what is Natalie's last name?
Bollinger, Bollinger.
Okay. And who is that?
She's a friend of mine who was murdered in December by Joseph Michael Lopez. I don't know the case number. I was trying to look that up.
And I know you said that you're being harassed. Why are you being harassed?
Well, ma'am, it was assumed that I killed her because of a post that she had posted up where she had misled the public and slandered my name. And it was her last public post before she was murdered. I was given a protection order about a week before she was murdered, a little over a week before she was murdered, for exposing her father for being a child molester and raping her and her sister.
I found it.
As well as trying to beat her stepmother to death.
This one's with Carl Snell.
So what was her last public post? What did she say?
She said that I was harassing her and some other things like that, that I was stalking her, which was not true. I've been, before she died, she wanted to commit suicide in 2016. So I went to go see her in Virginia. While I was in Virginia, I had a panic attack and I lost everybody that I knew there, and ended up honking my horn like an idiot outside of her house while severely dehydrated and had to sleep for a few days. So on my way back to Colorado, which is where my safety network is, where my friends and family live, I ended up getting threatened on the phone by several people. And then once I got down to Boulder, I ended up getting threatened a lot more. I was accused of slander, which the slander, I said that she was on heroin. Her tox report said that she was on heroin when she was murdered. So obviously that wasn't slander. She had slandered my name as well as a woman by the name of Maddie Boa and her sister Alicia. In addition, there was about 40 other people that took part and were involved in the harassment and threats against me before she died. Since then, the police in 4 different
they were on meth, and there's a lot of meth in the United States. Although, if I get calls while I'm on Facebook, while I'm on YouTube, it doesn't record them unless I answer with my phone instead of my computer. So I'm hoping that this is actually playing and you guys can actually hear it.
Counties and also in two other states other than Colorado have refused to take my report. I was actually trying to make a report and trying to catch the guy who had the gun that she was killed with when the border police came and actually assaulted me. They told me that they were going to take me to make a report. Instead, they took me to a hospital and took away my phone, separated me from all of the evidence of the things that happened to me, and actually assaulted me. And even though those charges were dropped, they painted a very bad public image of me, as well as a man by the name of Mike Ludette, who is internet web sleuth.
What kind of hospital did they take you to?
They took me to Boulder General Hospital, Boulder Regional, I think is what it's called, but I'm not for certain. They used to have two hospitals there, now there's only one.
Okay, and where is that located?
It's located in Boulder, Colorado.
All right, so again, I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear that, but when she's asking what kind of a hospital, what type of a hospital, she's trying to see if she can call me mentally ill and hang up the phone. They hang up on the phone repeatedly when I tell them that I'm trying to turn in cops or that I'm homeless. So in this call, I don't believe they do that, but in most of them, they do. Mm.
There other.
And what is your date of birth?
My date of birth is October 18th, 1980.
And now you said that you've been harassed since this happened by the police. How exactly have they been harassing you?
Well, ma'am, after the Boulder Police Department tried to break my wrist in the hospital, they prevented me from being able to make a report. And they actually wedged my wrist sideways in those cuffs. It was excruciatingly painful. Everything that I did, they started screaming that I was doing something wrong. If I was moving, they said I was trying to hurt somebody. If I wasn't moving, they said I was playing possum. They kept me locked up for 7 days. The jailers laughed at me, made a whole bunch of jokes the whole time, and my public pretenders didn't even pretend to defend me. They didn't try to get any of that video evidence at all. Now, I had to go to a friend of mine's in Haxton, Colorado, because the police charged me with felony assault against them. So when I went to Candace's house in Haxton, the police there actually came to her house and threatened her. Now, mind you, Ted Bollinger is a man who I've been familiar with for a few years. I've known what kind of a dangerous man he is. And both of his ex-wives, two of his ex-wives have gotten a hold of me to let me know how dangerous a man he is. Now, one of those stepmothers had pocket dialed me while I was in Haxton, so I called 911. Officer Michael Beard of the Haxton Police Department showed up, and he had a big old smirk on his face when he pulled up, and I told him that that Miss Shelley had called me. That's her name, Shelley Garner, I believe. She had called me, and it sounded like there was a scuffle, like she was in a fight, and then she wasn't returning my calls, so I called 911. Well, Michael Beard had been driving around the house for several days. I actually had a friend of mine named Laura come down from Chapel because due to the Boulder police assaulting me, I wasn't allowed to leave state. So I had to have friends come into Colorado from Nebraska to try to help me. And this woman, Laura, stated to me that the police kept around the house that night too. But what happened is instead of taking a report, he was willing to let that woman be beaten to death and told me that I just needed to write a local senator. So I'm calling you guys because they keep hiding behind jurisdiction to harm me, and harass my friends and family. Now, he had a smile on his face while I was telling him this. this officer, the very next day, he showed up at Candace's while she was taking her kids to school, and then he harassed her again at her work, which is the hospital in Haxton. After that, she was threatened by her landlord with eviction. This has happened to more than one person since this started, including the woman that I was staying with when it happened.
Okay, sir. So I can go ahead and get this information documented here for you, and if anyone has any additional questions, they will be in contact with you, okay?
Well, I have additional questions too, so I'm going to be calling you guys and giving you every bit of the story between now and the 28th when I have court. I have court in...
I'll go ahead and get your information documented. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, we'll end this video.
Thank you. Thank you very much.